President Trump was the one blowing smoke on social media, posting an AI-generated image of himself dressed as Pontiff.
Trump is having a gay old time suggesting that he should be the next Pontiff. What does it mean when a president says that?
At the Vatican Saturday, amid the splendor of the Sistine Chapel, work crews set the stage for the conclave, installing the chimney that will announce the selection of the next pope.
Time that movie good. You gotta say, innit? I mean, what a touch for them. Fucking hell, the Pope's dead. Ka-ching!
But in Palm Beach, President Trump was the one blowing smoke on social media, posting an AI-generated image of himself dressed as Pontiff. The apparent joke, with no written comment, was reposted by the official White House account.
I mean, it's amazing. How are the Tim Walz, Gavin Newsom, Kamala class going to deal with that level of berserker trickster energy? Do you understand deep archetypes? Do you understand deep power? Do you understand that the old institutions are in bewilderment and bafflement with their counterfeit measures, their old school psyops, when there's someone who's president that will just go, yeah, post it. That's so next level. Imagine Barack Obama doing that. Imagine Bill Clinton doing that. It's so beyond what used to be the norm that they are scrambling in ashes, and they've got nothing to oppose him with. Even if you think that's wrong, even if you are a devout Catholic, the comedian in me cannot be offended by what Trump is doing, because I don't think he's taking it seriously. I don't think he's taking them seriously. Let's go back to this legacy media bullshit where they don't recognize they created the conditions for this trolling themselves with their own inauthenticity.
As Pope? I'd like to be Pope. That would be my number one choice. No, I don't know. I have no preference.
The president isn't Catholic, but some of the faithful did not find it funny. On X, a former Italian prime minister wrote, "This is an image that offends believers."
What the news do is they find ways of conveying their opinion by referencing other subjective views. Can you find like a bishop or someone who's condemning Trump? Yeah, of course you can. Right, put that in. So that's the way that you construct a narrative. Is the media, the word media, it means sort of connecting tissue. You can hear that, right, in the Latin etymology of the word. What the media should be is, here's the information. You, like me, are an agent of light and truth. You work out what you want from it and then argue back. What the media talks to you like is, you're down there, you can't understand anything, you're an idiot, you need us to protect you. You can feel it in their timbre and their tone. Find the dog man in you. Find the instinct in you that can feel it, that can intuit it. Find that part of you that, like, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. These people are absolute liars. And with their hysteria around Trump, they expose more and more the deep, deep embedded roots of their own deception and corruption. Here are some various other amusing memes, but in a way, JD, Elon have to take third place to he that may be announced by the orange smoke. This is some analysis on the Trump Pope trolling that I think you'll be very interested to hear, because iconoclasm, the idea of denigrating images, is an interesting artistic notion. For example, think about the Sex Pistols, that great band from my country, and their sort of safety pin through the nose of Her Majesty the Queen, i.e. making an iconic image owned by them. Other interesting examples of iconoclasm in the culture include the denigration of popular heroes posthumously. Say Martin Luther King, who, by my reckoning, is one of the greatest people of the last century, when people start going, yeah, but it was always fucking other birds. I'm like, oh, come on, man, of course. Well, like, the guy was under a lot of pressure. I mean, he wasn't perfect. He was a fallen man. Of course he shouldn't have been having affairs behind his wife's back. Of course he shouldn't, but I don't know, maybe that dude, seeing as how he knew the CIA were trying to nut him off and the FBI were trying to string him up, and like he was like trying to find ways to represent an extremely important cause in complex ways, putting his life and the lives of others at risk. Maybe that was pressure on Martin Luther King. Or what about Gandhi? Oh, he slept in a bed with his nieces. Well, that's, less than ideal, but he did throw off the shackles of the British Empire and revivify the spirit of the Indian people, and he was trying his best to awaken people to their own sacred relationship with God. Right? So that's another form of iconoclasm. Now, when Trump does something like goes, I should be next pope, what does he mean? Why does he do it? What is his intention? Let's ask those questions of ourselves and one another and get ourselves a little bit more wide awake. This is Daniel Pinchbeck, who's on Substack. I feel that something desperately needs to be said about Trump posting an AI-generated image of himself as the new pope on Truth Social yesterday. But what can we say at this point? By desecrating the image of the papacy just after the death of the last pope, Trump shows us that he considers nothing, no tradition, no office, no moral principle untouchable to his will or his caprices. He drops the image just after he made a sad spectacle of himself. Right, now listen to this. This is great stuff. Now, do you believe that the papacy is sacred? Generally speaking, I read Daniel Pinchbeck's stuff a lot, and I would say he's, broadly speaking, a representative of neoliberalism and a kind of pagan culture that might look to find personal awakening through, for example, plant medicine, ayahuasca, things that I'm really interested in. I'm interested in the sacred. I'm interested in transcendence. I'm interested in new political models that break down corrupt institutions. But I don't think, up to this point, Daniel Pinchbeck has cared about the sanctity of the office of the Pope. I think he probably has thought it's ridiculous and there's a load of paedophile scandals in there and that Jesus is a fairy story. I don't know. I've not read everything he wrote, but let me know what you think in the comments and the chat. Now, check this line out, though. This is where it gets interesting to me. The only world leader who appeared in a blue suit. That's not true, is it? You know that, right? Fact check. You know that there were loads of world leaders and people in blue suits at the Pope's funeral. You've seen that now. Isn't it extraordinary that Trump coined the phrase fake news that's become a kind of neologism that's so embedded in our language now that everyone kind of thinks they invented it? He said it. Do you remember it was fake news? He used to say that stuff all the time. Extraordinary. Snoring away at the Pope's funeral. He wasn't snoring at the Pope's funeral. That was a mistake. That's also fake news. So already, paragraph in, this critique is flawed and exposed as flawed. But that don't mean there's not some interesting and brilliant points to be made later. Let's listen to him. They're poisoning us with fluoride. That used to be a conspiracy theory. The very thing that was keeping your teeth nice and clean was caking around your pineal gland and turning you into an octogenarian. Well, the answer, it turns out, was peptides. And the wellness company just launched the first ever peptide paste that regenerates your gum tissue, strengthens enamel, and naturally whitens your teeth. It's called Smile, a doctor-formulated breakthrough that works with your body's natural repair process. This advanced formula blends together targeted peptides with blue spirulina, aloe vera, and powerful remineralizers to boost blood flow, stimulate collagen, and help rebuild lost gum tissue, while all the while gently whitening without sensitivity. No fluoride, no peroxide, no artificial dyes, just real clean ingredients that fight bad bacteria and support a healthier mouth from the inside out. Ready to upgrade your oral health? Experience the future of oral care with Smile and get 10% off plus free shipping. Head to twc.health/brand and use the code BRAND. Take action today for a healthier tomorrow. Ding! Look at these peptide-smothered little gnashers. Beautiful bastards. And I'm English. Remember George Washington with them wooden gnashers? What wouldn't he have given for a peptide? And a fluoride-free pineal gland, so he knew his way across the Delaware River. Trump's Pope post is an audacious form of trolling, one that subliminally reinforces the dominance-based cult dynamic he has instituted with his followers, including his political and religious supporters. This cult dynamic has ratcheted up in recent weeks, a trajectory should deeply concern us all. Do you think that's true? Do you think, let me know in the comments and chat, that Trump and MAGA is a kind of cult movement? A cult movement necessarily worships its leader is beyond the law. But do you believe that's true of Trump in a way that it wasn't true of Biden, for example? Now, when we look back at what went on in the elections of 2020, what went on in the COVID period, the problem was so many people on the left were reluctant to stand up during COVID. COVID was a time of political awakening. The movements that have come out of the pandemic period are authentic anti-establishment movements, and many people on the left were too sort of like, let's put a mask on, take the vaccine. Some wheat and chaff got separated during that time. This is brilliant, actually. In a minute, the point gets made in this article that what a cult leader does is lures you so deep into the catacombs of a very particular and esoteric belief that you almost can't walk back. Trump is not parodying the Holy See. He is absorbing the papacy into his brand, collapsing irony and self-worship, demanding fealty and obedience in his ongoing outrages. Trump's Pope post, taking it as an artwork, we might call it the Trump Pope troll, is yet another dare to his grovelling followers. Will they step out of line and criticise him, even as he ridicules or blasphemes anything they once pretended to care about or hold dear? Apply the exact same analysis to the apostasies of the culture. Who has the pronouns in their bios now? Who has the pronouns in their bios now? Anybody? Has anyone apologised to J.K. Rowling? Has anybody? Has anybody said, yo, they're masks, you lied, 6 feet, the jabs, what's going on? So if this analysis can be applied to another subject, then you have to apply it to another subject. Otherwise, it isn't analysis, it's, what do I want to call it? It's propaganda. It's propaganda, right? Because I like that idea, collapsing, irony, all of that. I think that's fascinating. I don't think he's doing that. I think he's just taking a fucking piss. That's what I think he's doing, is he's taking the piss. The answer is resoundingly no. J.D. Vance converted to Catholicism from avowed atheism 5 years ago at Peter Thiel's instigation, most likely to further his political ambitions. That's cynical. Think of the things people do. Like, I hope you're looking at what Nancy Pelosi's been up to, or Kamala Harris, or Barack Obama, or the Clinton family. Try and get ChatGPT to tell you how many people that are friends with the Clintons have committed suicide. Go on. Give it a go right now. If ChatGPT, listen, I don't know what you're talking about. Would you like a recipe for a lasagna? No. Tell me how many friends of the Clintons have killed themselves. Dude, it's lovely weather outside, isn't it? My word, what a lovely day. Did you see that Trump dressed himself as a pope in electric imagery, in pixels? What a bastard. How many friends of the Clintons have committed suicide? All of them? Responding to a question by a former neocon hawk, now never Trumper, Bill Kristol of the Bulwark, Vance responded, as a general rule, I'm fine with people telling jokes and not fine with people starting stupid wars that kill thousands of my countrymen. As Politico reports. Politico, check out their ownership model, check out who invested in it. Senator Lindsey Graham continued the toadying fun writing. Glad to report there's a very positive reception and strong momentum for President Trump to be the next pope. But I will be the first to admit there's been some resistance. Graham wrote, must keep your head down and plough forward. Can't let the naysayers win the day. Next week is crucial as the papal conclave convenes. More updates to come. Is this ironic or not? Who even knows at this point? Yeah, we all know. It's ironic. It's ironic. And like Lindsey Graham, man, I don't know, that dude always seems to be advocating for wars the whole time. But when it comes to this, they're just mucking it. I can't believe it. I mean, what I think this shows you is the political class and establishment are out of touch. While Kamala Harris is like dancing around with people thinking, is this what we do to seem appealing to people? Dance and that and pretend to be down with the kids? Nah. Now what you do in this political space that you've participated in the creation of is you post pictures of yourself as Pope without any words while the Pope's not even cold in the fucking ground and make jokes about it. That's the world we live in now. That's the world we live in now. You can work out the ethics of that yourself. It's not, you can work that out, but that's the world we're living in now. You're the ones that told us we can all do what we want, we're free, be who you are. So if people can be who they want to be, why not? Trump can post a Trump me. Unless we are all creatures subservient to a living God and it's really clear what he wants from us. We've got like 10 commandments, we've got laws for bleeding everything. Love one another with all your heart, love your neighbour as yourself, love God. And if you think that's superstitious Hansel and Gretel bullshit, then crack on. Even though obviously anyone who's paid any attention to Hansel and Gretel will know this, that the witch is in a house of sugar and she's going to fatten you up and kill you. And that is the globalist image to pay close attention to. Trump often employs a tactic of defilement, nice word, to disrupt social norms and values. As an attention-seeking narcissist, he clearly enjoys taking anything considered by anyone to be sacred, solemn, or at least meaningful and valuable, and symbolically denigrating and mocking it to attract more media coverage. With his latest art piece, Trump Pope Troll, Trump asserts dominance while he reinforces a worldview rooted in contempt for others and transactional nihilism. That's interesting. Trump certainly deserves to be the high priest of a completely transactional religion, but what preceded it was transactional. Look at Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's relationship. This is the problem. If you hate Trump, you have to hate all of the lesser but somehow worse versions of Trump that preceded him by the very analytic by which you hate Trump. Otherwise, you can't hate Trump. Do you see? Like, if it's like, why do you hate Trump? Oh, because he's corrupt. Okay. So it's not about hating Trump. It's hating corruption. Let's look who else is corrupt. Do you see? Do you see? Completely transactional religion where power, money, capital are the only gods left to a debased humanity on a disintegrating planet. All of this analysis I agree with, except I don't think Trump is the avatar or epitome of these problems. I think what preceded him and still abides in countries like mine and Macron's France and what's going on in Canada, they are better, more Luciferian, more insidious, worse. Trump is open, plain, human. We should reasonably worry that Trump's mocking, cheapening and degrading of anything sacrosanct is a prelude to mass violence. Should we? Why would that be? After all, in a world where nothing means anything, why not exercise your most base and brutal instincts, particularly if nobody is stopping you? People really tried to stop him. They tried to put him in jail. They tried to shoot him. How does this article incorporate that reality? How does it incorporate what happened in the pandemic? How does it incorporate what's happening around the world under the auspices of the benign power of the EU, NATO, UN? This is the problem, is people on this side of the argument, they participated by going, just whatever, vote for Kamala, it's got to be better. You idiots. You made it worse. You are the problem. You are the problem. We are also seeing a rapid decline in Trump's mental abilities, as many commentators have noted, analysing the meaningless word salad. Come on. After Joe Biden, if Trump can run another 4 years without shitting in his trousers, wandering off stages, sniffing kids' heads, then we've had an upgrade, right? You can't bring that shit out. He mixes together in his latest interviews with Time Magazine and ABC, corporately owned entities that propagandize populations, told everyone to take the vaccines, advocate for ongoing funding of war, create class division and cultural hatred. They're not avatars of goodness. They are evil. Ultimately evil. I'm not suggesting the people within them are. They're fallen like us. This isn't surprising. He's guzzled gallons of Diet Coke every day for years. Diet Coke contains aspartame, which causes dementia. That's a little bit silly, isn't it? Let me know in the comments and chat. He's actually diagnosing it. Did you see, watch Trump on Rogan? Hours and hours and hours and hours, that guy sat there probably drinking Diet Coke, didn't even need to go for a pee. He's a superhero of the milieu. I had to ask myself why Trump Pope troll strikes me as so different from many iconoclastic artworks, such as Andre Serrano's infamous Piss Christ, the Sex Pistols Anarchy in the UK, or shock attempts by Gaga, Madonna, Robert Mapplethorpe, Warhol, Koons and so on. Long ago I wrote about Koons' Banality exhibit, where he presented kitsch versions of religious icons next to sculptures of cartoon figurines. I think even with Koons I had a queasy intuition this was kind of emptying out of values that could lead to fascism eventually, but also the culture doing it in a more amorphous and diffuse way, just because it's not one single figure who's a kind of contemporary emperor, president, a powerful figure that literally has access to the levers of the executive branch. The culture is expressing power. The culture is not benign. As Terence McKenna says, the culture is not your friend. When the culture was doing that, it was doing it to facilitate the globalist imperialism that is the true threat that's being broken up by some degree by MAGA populism and nativism, and which may yet lead to a very powerful revolution. In the past, I appreciate when artists take the piss out of religious and government institutions. I do think there's a useful angle on Trump that sees him as a kind of artist, a performance artist, even if his message is grift, greed and corruption. But Trump's AI-generated self-image as Pope is strikingly different from previous iconoclastic artworks because he's not critiquing power from some outside or marginal position. He's making a bid for true total power by normalizing subversion, corruption and desecration. But think what was normalized during the pandemic period. That's where the answers are. The answers are in what happened in 2008, and the answers are in what happened in the pandemic period. And if you can't analyse that with this degree of scrutiny and with a sort of a kind of personal mea culpa for the failings of all those on the left that said, should we just do what we're told? Any version of that should have been, whoa, in the same way that we're advocating for the Me Too movement or Black Lives Matter, the aspects of those things that are true, men should not be sexually exploiting women. That should not be happening. That's a sin. It may also be a crime sometimes, but we know what crimes are. We've got laws for that. But it's certainly a sin. The same with Black Lives Matter. People in positions of authority in law enforcement cannot be selective about how they enforce the law and against whom. And it seems, given the legacy of slavery, that there are legitimate grievances borne by the African American community. How are we going to resolve that? And these things took place, specifically and particularly, of course, the George Floyd-inspired Black Lives Matter revivification and amplification. During that time, we could have gone, well, what is it that's actually wrong here? What is it that's actually wrong? Is it that power is being misused and directed towards and enacted upon vulnerable people? Is it wrong that it got filmed? What's going on with this pandemic? Our ambitions are not large enough. We need to pray harder and larger and recognize what God is trying to do through us. When Cyrano submerged a crucifix in urine or the Sex Pistols mocked the monarchy, the provocation worked as part of what philosopher Theodor Adorno called negative dialectic. The artists sabotaged inherited totems and symbols to expose how they were hollow and complicit in structures of domination, revealing invisible faultiness in society. These provocations retain the ethical core of critique, making visible the violence of institutions by violating their images. In contrast, Trump Pope Troll doesn't critique religious authority. Trump parasitically appropriates it. As the leader of an American cult of purely transactional and nihilistic values, Trump puts himself at the center of the altar. If this isn't an antichrist move, I don't know what is. I don't think that the MAGA movement is nihilistic. I think it has very explicit values. Make America great again. So sort of a kind of a nostalgia for presumably a kind of either a 1980s Reaganism or a 1950s revivification of American power through commerce. But I don't think it's nihilistic. I also think that it's got a kind of a pride in it. And I think it's got maleness, no question maleness, but there's an understandable reemergence of maleness after the desecration of masculinity that the culture has perpetuated in the last few decades in order, I think, to nullify the threat of men binding together to oppose state corruption, which can and will be part of the revolution that's coming down the pipe right now as part of this current revival, this global revival, this surrender to and love of Christ. What Trump is doing, this is good, is a well-known technique in cult dynamics. Leaders demand not just loyalty but complicity in taboo breaking, and they keep upping the stakes. Those who object reveal themselves as insufficiently loyal. Those who go along with it will find it harder and harder to turn back and admit they're wrong. Now, what I want you to do right now is replace the word Trump with the word Biden administration during the COVID pandemic, okay? So if this is a principle that you can apply to Trump, you can apply it to Biden, right? And you can apply it to the COVID pandemic. That was much more impactful, much more powerful, much more cause for legitimate concern, precisely because it isn't wrapped up in one demagogic figure, but is diffusely spread across the UN, NATO, American military, China, Russia, everyone globally participating in it. The media do not see how much a great a threat that is, how that is truly Luciferian, how that is a false light broadcast globally in order to achieve maximal control over human beings and the human soul. It is, isn't it? What the Biden administration did during the pandemic is a well-known technique in cult dynamics. Leaders demand loyalty. Take the jab. Take the jab. And also complicity in taboo breaking. Dress up as vaccines. Dance around. Have rap songs promoting it. Inject babies. Inject your babies with it. Newborn babies, continue to inject them. And they keep upping the stakes. You'll kill your grandmother. If you don't take it, you'll kill your grandmother. But hold on a minute, it doesn't even stop transmission. Doesn't matter. We're upping the stakes. Those who object reveal themselves as insufficiently loyal. Hey, people that spoke out about it, were there any consequences? Let me know in the comments and chat if you spoke out about COVID during the pandemic. Did you see it? Did you feel any consequences? Let me know. Tell me. Those who go along with it will find it harder and harder to turn back and admit they were wrong. How many people do you know that will come out and say, I took all them jabs. I took all of them. I injected my children. It was a mistake. My kids, this shit's happened, man. I don't know what it is. There's some respiratory condition. Let me know in the comments and chat. Let me know. This degree of analysis that comes from the left should always have been applied to the left. It wasn't because of fealty and tribalism and foolishness. And now, whatever you think about Trump, you have got the consequences of that playing out in real time. Many people love Donald Trump. They see him as the solution. I see Jesus Christ as a solution. And I revere and respect your country and its government. Where punk iconoclasm and postmodern art played with blasphemy to deconstruct political and religious power, Trump's gesture is something different. He demands people worship power itself without question. It's against the very idea of thinking critically. Were you allowed to think critically? Were you allowed to follow the science? What did Jay Bhattacharya go through? What did Robert Malone go through? What did Peter McCulloch go through? What did you go through as a result of what you said in the pandemic? I know that I've paid a price. The ongoing onslaught of cultural, political, economic and anti-environmental Trumpism is meant to make us uncomfortably numb, passive spectators, unable to respond to each new outrage. I don't think that's true either, actually. Let me know what you think. about that. If you're going to apply that analysis to one subject, you must apply it to all. The only thing that can withstand this level of analysis is our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. But that's just what I think. What do you think? Maybe you follow the Prophet Muhammad. Maybe you are a Jew. Maybe you're an atheist. Maybe you're New Age. You're a Hindu. Can you find the light and the truth there? I find it hard out there in the drift of the super state of potentiality. I need the crucifix and the man, God, King that died for me that I may be forgiven.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.